Hello everyone, in today's episode, I'll explain how to make ranged weapons such as crossbows, pistols, rifles, and so on. Generally speaking, each weapon is available from a specific level. Initially, the player does not have any starting ranged weapons offered by MCPF. Therefore, until you get your first crossbow, which is indeed the first ranged weapon offered by MCPF, you will need to use the Minecraft bow or crossbow, or ranged weapons offered by other mods. All ranged weapons can be divided into different categories in terms of how they are obtained. At first, you'll deal with relatively primitive weapons compared to what's available at higher levels. The first ranged weapon you can use is the crossbow. You can easily craft it in the simple crafting table. Its bolts are very cheap, and the weapon itself deals significant damage. As you progress and level up, you'll first unlock the flintlock pistol and then the blunderbuss. You can craft both of these weapons in the upgraded crafting table, as well as the metal balls that you'll load into these weapons. These weapons deal massive damage. However, their drawback is that they take a long time to reload, and their accuracy is quite poor. An additional drawback is that the ammunition for these weapons takes up quite a bit of inventory space. To reload the flintlock pistol, you need to have metal balls and gunpowder in your inventory, while to reload the blunderbuss, you need paper, gunpowder, and 15 metal balls. Moving forward, you'll eventually reach real, full-fledged firearms. Firearms can be divided into the following categories in terms of acquisition. Firearms crafted at the gunsmith's workbench from schematics that can be purchased. Firearms that can only be purchased. Weapons that can be constructed, but the blueprints for them need to be found. Currently very few, but I hope that over time there will be an increasingly larger category of weapons that can be obtained as gifts. Next, we also have a very small category of weapons that can drop from defeated enemies. The last, but very strong category, consists of heavy weapons that can be crafted in the MK2 Fabricator. Of course, these weapons can be further divided into other categories such as loading mechanism or power, because it's not surprising that the higher the level, the more powerful the weapon. Now I will explain how to obtain weapons from each category, starting from the most numerous and ending with the smallest ones. To craft a weapon using a blueprint, you first need to go to the merchant fortress and purchase the blueprint for the weapon you're interested in. Depending on the power of the weapon, blueprints will be more or less expensive, so I recommend preparing a solid amount of money. Notice that the blueprint lists the materials needed to create the weapon and the minimum level required to use it. Remember to pay attention to whether you have the appropriate level to shoot with a particular weapon, because if you try to shoot with a weapon despite having too low a level for it, it will be incredibly inaccurate. If you didn't pay attention to whether you have the appropriate level for a particular weapon and you're unsure if the weapon is suitable for your level, look at the accuracy indicator. If it's red, it means the weapon will always fire inaccurately due to your level being too low. Returning to crafting your first firearm, take your blueprint to the gunsmith's workbench and make sure to have a few bottles of gasoline with you because the gunsmith's workbench consumes gasoline to function. Now, place your blueprint in the slot with the blueprint icon, put the required materials in the top right corner, activate the gunsmith's workbench, and press the Create button. Remember to turn off the gunsmith's workbench after finishing your work because it will unnecessarily consume gasoline. Place your freshly made rifle in the slot with the golden frame. In this slot, you will learn many interesting things about your weapon, such as the materials required to upgrade modules of your weapon, the materials required to craft ammunition for the weapon, the materials required to craft a loader for the weapon. Additionally, you can see how much durability your weapon has left, as most firearms have a limited number of shots and need to be repaired periodically. Next to the weapon's durability, you have its own serial number. This number makes your weapon unique in the world, and no one else will have the same one. So, if someone were to steal it from you, you could ask them to show the serial number to verify if it's your weapon. Going further down, you'll see how upgraded the modules of your weapon are. Depending on the weapon you're upgrading, modules can enhance various parameters of the weapon, but typically they improve damage and reload speed. At first, I'll upgrade the modules of my weapon. Also, I'll add that for demonstration purposes, I chose the carabin because it has an additional feature which I'll show you shortly. To upgrade the modules of my weapon, we activate the gunsmith's workbench just like when creating it, but this time, we click on the button responsible for upgrading each module. And now here's the interesting thing for which I chose the carabin. Some weapons, after reaching maximum upgrades, change their appearance, and the carabin is one of them. For those interested, here is a list of the remaining weapons. The last thing you need to do to shoot with a weapon is to craft ammunition. You make it in a very similar way. Just press the button next to the message about the materials required to create it. The last optional thing you can make for your weapon is a loader. I'll show you how it works in a moment. The loader is an item that helps store ammunition. You can load ammunition into it by clicking the R button. If you want to remove ammunition from the loader, right-click to get one bullet or right-click with Shift to get as much ammunition as the number of bullets in the magazine of the weapon. In this case, 30 pieces of ammunition. You can also hold the loader in your offhand, and then the rifle will automatically take bullets from the loader, but with this solution, reloading will take 30% longer. There's more to upgrading your weapon. If you want it to be ultimately enhanced, you can give it what's called the golden quality at one of the vendors. To do this, interact with the character, ask how much the upgrade will cost, and then, if you're willing, elevate the quality of your weapon to golden. In most cases, this will increase the damage dealt by the weapon even further, and sometimes, the weapon may receive additional enhancements. An interesting fact is that, if you wish, you can upgrade even a crossbow, flintlock pistol, or blunderbuss this way. For comparison, I'll show you what the spread of a fully upgraded weapon looks like compared to a freshly crafted one. As I mentioned earlier, most weapons degrade over time. They can be repaired in two ways. The first method is regular lubrication with weapon maintenance oil before the weapon's durability exceeds a critical point. In this case, the cost of repairing the weapon will be 1 bottle of weapon maintenance oil. In the second case, when the weapon's durability drops to 0, it will become severely damaged and unusable. In this scenario, besides weapon maintenance oil, you will need several additional materials. A specific list of these materials will be provided in the message on the right side. To complete the information, I'll add that weapon maintenance oil is made in the 3D printer from several materials. When it comes to weapons available through schematics, there's not much more to add. Upgrading, repairing, and so on work the same for weapons you can buy in the shop, or those whose schematics you can find. Now, I'll move on to weapons that can be created in the Fabricator MK2. I'll skip the description and operation of the Fabricator since there's already an episode about it on my channel, but I will say that it's a large machine where you can craft heavy weapons and vehicles. You can craft 3 weapons here: the javelin-guided missile launcher, the flamethrower, and the tank's anti-tank cannon. I've already recorded a tutorial on how the javelin works, so if you're interested, feel free to watch it. The anti-tank cannon functions similarly to other weapons, with the difference that it can load 2 types of ammunition: APCR and heat shells. I'll briefly cover how to use the flamethrower, as it's a bit more complicated. The flamethrower tracks 3 values: energy, fuel, and air. You need to refill the first 2, and you can fill the third with a compressor available in the mod. However, the flamethrower also has a built-in compressor. You can activate it by pressing the R key, which will start generating air. While the compressor is running, the flamethrower can't shoot flames. If both fuel and air are available, you'll be able to unleash large blasts of fire. So, if you're planning a long journey with the flamethrower, don't focus on how much air is currently in the tank. Instead, pay attention to the battery's energy level. With a charged battery, you can generate air while on the move. The last thing I want to mention, which applies to all the weapons discussed in this video, is their accuracy while moving. Depending on what you're firing while on the move, the shot may be accurate or not. For example, pistols remain accurate even when you're running and jumping. Rifles are accurate as long as you're not sprinting, while most heavy weapons become inaccurate as soon as you move. You can tell if your weapon is accurate at any given moment by the accuracy indicator, which expands if the shot will be inaccurate or stays tight if the shot will be accurate. That's all for this video. I hope I've helped you understand how firearms work in my mod. There are a lot of them, so everyone will find something for themselves. Thanks for watching.